Hey, thanks for joining me for lesson 2 of learning how to use your camera in manual mode. In this video, we're going to talk about f-stop. If you missed the first video where we talked about shutter speed, make sure to check that out too. And hopefully you were able to get familiar with changing the shutter speed on your camera and noticing what it does to your picture.
So you noticed as you used a slower shutter speed, the picture got brighter, and as you used a faster shutter speed, your picture got darker. Remember, shutter is only one of the 3 settings that changes how much light you're getting in your picture. The second way to control the light getting into your camera is with the aperture. Your camera's aperture, measured in f-stops, is the term for how wide the opening of your lens is. Check your camera's quick start guide again for the location of the dial that changes your f-stop. At a low number like 2.8, the aperture of your lens is wide open, letting in more light. A higher f-stop number like 22 means the opening of your lens is smaller, letting in less light. In the same way your shutter speed affects the motion blur of your picture, changing your f-stop affects your depth of field. Your depth of field can best be understood as different distances from your camera and how much of them you want in focus. Check out this example of 2 people standing different distances away from the camera. If we start with a low f-stop of 2.8, you can see that only one of our subjects is in focus. But if we raise the f-stop up to f22, you can see much more of our picture is in focus. So a good way to remember how f-stop changes your depth of field is that as your f-stop gets higher, you get more of your picture in focus, and as the f-stop gets lower, you get less of your picture in focus. Higher f-stops should be used when you're shooting things like family portraits because people are standing or sitting at different focal lengths, and you want to have them all in focus. If I were to shoot this group of people with a low f-stop of 2.8, you can see 2 of them are out of the depth of field and are pretty blurry. Here's the same group of people at f5.6. Keep your eye on the girl in that back right as we raise it to f16, and you can see how much more of your image is in focus with a wider depth of field. So always remember to use a higher f-stop with group pictures so no one is left out of focus. But if you're going for that creamy, blurred background look that's popular in modern photography, you'll want to use a lower f-stop. This blurred background is referred to as bokeh and is accomplished by having an f-stop around 2.8 or lower so that only a small point of your depth of field is in focus. So just to recap, a lower f-stop is a wider aperture, letting in more light, and gives you a shallow depth of field. A higher f-stop is a smaller aperture, letting in less light, and gives you a wider depth of field. Your next assignment is to assemble a few household objects and practice changing your f-stop. Try to get one picture where all of the objects are in focus and one where only one of the objects is in focus. Don't worry about getting a perfect focus because we'll talk about that in a minute. Go ahead and pause the video now.
Hope you enjoyed this video explaining f-stop and you're able to understand it a little better and see what it does to your picture. Make sure to join me in the next video where I'm going to be talking about the last setting you'll need to learn how to change in order to get the perfect exposure in manual mode. And that's ISO. What is ISO and what does it do to your picture? Join me in the next video to find out. Thanks for watching and hope to see you there.